This is a Sunday afternoon edition of a Podful of Saints. This is a rarity. It's Lee and Jake. They've just come from a local church, a church of a peahen or a mermaid or something like that. Right, let's get going. We've got to look back on one game. We've got to look forward to one game. We're looking back on yesterday's 1-1 draw with Hornchurch, which was our 454th 1-0 draw in our 5,117th game, which you already knew, of course. It's a funny old game, wasn't it? First half we were dire again, as we have been in recent weeks. Second half wasn't very cultured, but it was effective. We came back, put them under a lot of pressure. The keeper, Mason, I've got Mason Perry, is that right? No,
Mason Terry.
Mason Perry. Yeah. It's a bit like Perry Mason before your time. He made quite a few good saves, but in that first half, before we got going, Hornchurch could have wrapped it up. Razzaq Coleman De-Graft, who scored a hat-trick against us for Aveley early in the season, he put them on the way, and they really should have put the game out of reach by half-time, but they didn't, and we came back, it could be said, quite well, and maybe could have turned it around. We had a debutant, Aidan Coyne from Watford. We got him for the rest of the season. And no doubt other things will spring up to talk about. What's your reflection on the game, Jake? You were suitably attired in City of gear. We'll come on to the other bloke in a minute.
Before he starts, can I just say, it's Sunday. What are we doing? This is God's day. Come on. I mean, speaking of gods, Jacob, carry on, my friend.
Well, talking of God, so what are we doing? We're praising the saints. On we go.
Oh, dear me. I mean, Dave, how many draws is it we've had? What, 400 odd? Feels like 300 of those come this season, doesn't it? It was. As you say, first half, it's the old story of what on earth are we doing first half versus second half, isn't it? First, we started okay first 10 minutes, and then Hornchurch just, they weren't dominant, were they? But they just took control, and we just, again, looked a bit rudderless, didn't we, really, all over the pitch? Like you said, they had a couple of chances. They didn't pepper the goal. MJ made a couple of decent saves, but I thought one noticeable thing was the quality of their delivery. And the quality for the goal, watch the goal back, great ball in, but also how they attack those balls in as well. And it's something that we haven't done for most of the season, either set piece or generally in the attacking areas. They were really attacking the ball well, and we just really struggled to deal with it. And, I think 1-0 half time, it wasn't great, but I think a lot of Saints fans thought, well, it could be a lot worse here. So we take the position we're in. But a couple of fans also said to me, why do we always have to let the other team take the advantage? Why can we not just do it ourselves and make it a comfortable afternoon?
I shall come on to that in a minute, Jay. I'm glad you brought that point up. Very interesting. Right, Lee, you were dressed in a tuxedo yesterday. You looked quite spiffing. I don't think I've seen you dressed like that before in a match.
I mean, the reason was threefold. One, Mrs. Wood thought I looked good in a tux. Two, that's all I had clean. Yeah, well, that's all I had clean clothes left to wear. But also, I thought it was like a celebration sort of due. Possibly the overdue disintegration of oppression and tyranny within the club. But I think, here we are. But I thought, why not, Taz? It's Saturday. And I tried changing my pants for one game. I tried changing my aftershave for one game. I'm just a very superstitious fella. It didn't work, obviously, so I'm sort of doing that again, so don't worry.
You ain't got time to talk about the game, have you, Lee?
But thank you for noticing though, Dave.
Oh.
Thank you. No, I just had to mirror everything that Jake says, but I think we were on the back foot from the off. I'm looking at the team selection first and foremost, boys. Alex Wall's just come in, so let's give him a little bit of grace here. I don't think him having up top is probably our strongest suit. I want to know why we've suddenly just disbanded with the footballing ethos that has got us or served us so well under Culverhouse up to this point. The two up top, or if there is one up top, it's someone who's a bit more pacey, a bit more flexible. Even Shaun up top at the minute probably would have sort of fared a bit better. I think it's a bit harsh on Alex because he hasn't played a lot of football. He has just come straight into the side, and we're maybe expecting too much of him given our situation within the league. I just want to know why all of a sudden we just didn't start playing until later on in the second half. First half, possession-wise, yes, we did. And we had some chances and we had a couple of sort of penalty shouts and whatnot, but there was just no cutting edge, was there, really? And it took for us to go a goal down to start playing again. And it's, as Jake alluded to there, same every single bloody week. It's just getting ponderous, quite frankly. And if we're not careful, these draws, they're going to cost us because we need wins.
Yes, although it did reduce the gap on Salisbury from 5 points to 4. So they're in sight. They're the one with a decent goal difference, whereas Enfield's is still very high. But Enfield got his habit of keep winning and drawing. It's interesting to say about 2 up top. We had, 4 strikers on the bench on Tuesday. We had 3 on the bench yesterday. And I wonder, why don't we just go for it? Why haven't we been going for it for a few weeks? And you're right, we're not playing as good a football as we were, or looking as much as a unit as we were a few weeks ago when we got that little run together. I don't know what's happened. At least yesterday, they were working hard, and no doubt about it. Even in the first half, which was pretty dreadful from our point of view, they were working hard. It just wasn't coming off at all. Second half, we started well. We were building. He started making changes. For a while, it went a bit funny. Then in the end, that's as close as we've come to battering a side this season in the latter stages. And my mate Mason Terry changed his name again. He did keep them in it. I've been loath to criticise Ian Culverhouse since he joined us, but there are some things puzzling me. You mentioned one, Alex Wall. We don't want to keep going on at poor old Alex, but he's going to be a scapegoat at the moment because it's such a bizarre signing. Aidan Coyne, he had a brief spell on. He joined us on loan from Watford for the rest of the season. He had a brief spell with Maidenhead before Christmas. You look at the stats on that; it's not the most successful spell anybody's had on loan with a club. And you can see why. Yesterday, so many passes went astray. So many times he lost possession, but other times he's got an eye for goal, almost like Cochrane did when he was that age. Out of nowhere, he would have a strike on goal, and he made one. Keep made one great save. Another shot flew over the bar. But he's so wasteful with so many other things. Another player who's really struggling, Brandon Mason at the moment, started well for us. He's going through it in the last few games, big time. Don't know what's happened there. So they would. And Reuben Wyatt. I really struggle to see how he gets into a starting lineup at the moment. He got better options, you would have thought, on the bench there to try. But Ian's going to live and die by those decisions he makes of his starting 11. And another thing, I've banged on for years about when we're defending set pieces, not leaving at least 2 people up on the halfway line. We did it again yesterday. Everybody went back. Well, you're not giving yourself a chance to a quick breakaway. Did it late in the second half. We started doing it. What happens? We get more forwards on there. We got more people in attacking positions. We scramble a goal in. We had other chances. It wasn't a great goal, but it was purely because we had numbers in the box, which wouldn't have happened in some other games. It pays off. If you gamble, it does pay off mostly. Maybe leave yourself open at the other end, but we're in that situation now where we've got to take that risk. Anybody want to comment on any of that lot?
There's a lot to dissect there, Jake, isn't there, mate? I mean, you feel as though he's been holding on to that for quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at that. Brandon Mason, I think his desire to get forward and impose a positive stance on the attack leaves him vulnerable on his defensive duties sometimes, and he does get caught out. And I think we've seen that a lot in the last few games in particular. The numbers of bodies back. I think our vulnerability and our naivety in dealing with these crosses that Jake alluded to at the start of the pod here, I think that's just a natural reaction to sort of just try and repel those, because it has been an Achilles heel for us. The deliveries into the box, we just seem to panic, and there's no... It's really, really weird considering how commanding centre-backs we have in our ranks. Long, King and Woodman. Just struggling to deal with these crosses is a real concern, genuinely. My issue with having one up front is that you need to either have strength to hold the ball up to sort of play it off to the on-running midfielders, or you've got to have pace enough to sort of stretch the back line. Dausch was good at doing that. He was hustling and bustling and putting defenders under pressure. Charles, at the start of the season, looked a bit sort of as though he had that pace to get in behind. Shaun can hold the ball off and bring in other people into the game. I'm not entirely sure Alex Wall has got that grasp on our tactics just yet. And the fact is, we're running out of games for him to sort of find his feet as well. We seem to get a better foothold in the second half. We're a bit more braver on the ball. We're a bit more composed as well. When we really did look to be positive when we had the ball. I thought Bendel was absolutely outstanding. Second half in particular. Sweet had glimpses. I thought Zane again was trying to look busy. But again, we were always chasing the game. And by that point, we put ourselves under more and more pressure. If we just start the games how we sort of end half of them, mate, we should be okay. Jake, I don't know what you thought, mate, but I just don't know whether Wall gets another opportunity to play up front on his own, because from what I've seen so far, he needs people around him to bring him into the game. We looked at Charles away at Chesham. That didn't quite work. Maybe him and Shaun, or maybe we should leave all that together and go with the tried and trusted combo of, Charles and Jeffers, perhaps.
Oh, sorry, Jay, but Shaun hasn't been at his best. He had that virus, and he's not been at his best the second half of the season by a long chalk. Sorry, Jake.
No. I think Shaun was better yesterday, and obviously he got that goal, didn't he? But he was in the right place, and he was in the right place that I think the other forwards hadn't been for most of the game, to be honest. A lot of the players, or if they were in those positions, they either didn't stretch for the ball or what. I think Alex Wall was sort of the target towards the end of a lot of frustrated Saints supporters, it's fair to say, behind the goal. And I think that's understandable. Like Lee says, Alex Wall's barely played any football this season up until the last week and a half. It's going to be a struggle for him, but I just don't think you can go up, and we'll talk about Farnborough in a bit, but you cannot start next Saturday with just Alex Wall up front on his own against a Farnborough team that are inconsistent at best. You need someone to score goals. Alex Wall does that hard work, but you need someone else around them to score the goals. I don't think Ken Charles is necessarily the answer. I thought he looked better yesterday out wide, actually. And I think he could potentially be an impact sub or even a starting wide player, but I don't think he's the man to lead the line next Saturday. And I think it's probably got to be Shaun Jeffers. He's been poor this season. I mean, most players have, but he at least knows where the back of the net is still, we think. And got that goal yesterday. It's a vital goal. I think on why Wall started up front yesterday, I think it was the midfield. I think Culverhouse and Bazza wanted that control of that midfield. I think Gio Rasulo was a big miss, actually, in the middle of the park yesterday. He talked about how he's not been great this season, but he's finally come into a bit of form. I think we really missed that. And I think we tried to replace him with either Ruben Wyatt. That didn't work at all. Aidan Coyne sort of was both. Well, he seemed to be stuck in several positions at a time yesterday, and it's a bit of a baptism of fire for him. So not the perfect performance either. But I think Gio's missing, and there's no other midfielders. Alfie Payne's disappeared again. The missing posters are up around town. We don't know where he is, and it is just. I think it comes down to, and we said it from the start of the season, actually, didn't we? The midfield's a problem. It has been all season. It's not quite working. And when Gio goes out, you can see that midfield just isn't quite got that balance. It's disappeared again. So that was a very long answer.
Coyne is the son of former Luton Town player Chris Coyne. In defence of him, he was coming into a side he didn't know, in a very difficult position where we're desperate for winning and not playing well. So everything was against him really settling in. Yeah. And I think that showed, unfortunately. But there you go. Do we take a lot of comfort from that second half? The way we came back, we finally got a goal in added time. Or do we look at another mid-table side, not a lot to play for? They've come up their first season up. They've established themselves. They're safe. But like Chesham have had nothing to play for, come up. They're settled in there on a dreadful run. Hampton on the worst run of a lot. We finally beat them in one of the worst games you'll ever see. And these sides, we should be beating all of them, really. We've got a realistic chance of staying up. Or is it a case, as I say, of 2 lost points rather than celebrating getting a late equaliser?
I think everyone targeted 3 points yesterday, didn't they? Most Saints fans thought this has got to be a win. I think the manner of the result, picking up that draw late on, and it wasn't us conceding the late goal for once. I think you saw the celebrations at the end, and I think this could be a springboard. Then how many times have we said this season? It could potentially. It sets you up for Saturday. And the mad thing is, at 5 o'clock last Saturday, we were 8 points adrift. Somehow we've cut the deficit. We're down to 4, when it doesn't really feel like our performances would necessarily bring that along. But that's the reality. We are in the picture still, and we've just got to fight. I think we can take something from that second half. And I think it's actually probably somewhat of a throwback to, we talked about it a few times this season, but when Allenson came in, he'd play 3-4 forwards at times, but they could score goals. And do we just need to go with that approach for the next couple of, well, at least Saturday, and then look at things again with a couple of tougher fixtures coming up?
You mentioned we're down to 4 points from side above us, Salisbury. But in their running, they've got Averley, Weymouth and Welling. Now, you've got to say it's very much in their hands. They win all 3 of those and they're 13 points above. Or we've got to pick up 13 points to get above them. Realistically, they may get 2 wins and a draw or 2 wins. Even that means we've got to chase 10 points. It's almost out of our hands, but we've got to get a winning run together, and we're struggling to get that.
We are, but we're not helping ourselves at all. We are latecomers into games, and we can't keep relying on these sort of dramatic last-minute goals to get us out of trouble again, all these late goals, or any goals, to be fair to you, because we're struggling for those. What I would say is that it is out of our hands. I think looking at it now, okay, positives out of the game. Yes, the character was certainly there second half. We've got to start playing a bit more. I know that when Bazza come over towards the fans at the end of the game, he spotted me, and I just gestured at him. You've got to get the boys playing early. You've got to get them playing, because you're having Wall up front and you're getting the balls into the box, and he was just being out-muscled and outnumbered on every single occasion. When we started playing in and around them and doing like these little intricate triangles and people were trying to find space, that's when we were hurting them. That's when we were punishing teams, better teams than what was on show yesterday. So we've got to start playing. We've got to start approaching these games with a bit more purpose, and whether that's 2 up front or managing to sort of get these key players on the ball a little bit more, because ultimately, Tavs, you're looking at it there, mate. It is out of our hands. It is out of our hands. And the teams we have to play still, they're either fighting. We've got Enfield, massive game. And then we've got some teams who are fighting for the playoffs. But ultimately, mate, it starts on Saturday. If we don't win on Saturday, it's good night.
Yeah, Farnborough, another one of those sides. Technically nothing to play for, but they could be difficult. They're not on a great run. This thing about getting on the front foot, picking up on a stat from last week, it's now 14 times in the last 16 games we've not scored in the first half. That is too many times to be a coincidence, surely. So what you're saying about get on the front foot, we've got to do it earlier. We've got to make teams chase us in the second half. It's happened a couple of times with the late goals, obviously. But we've got to impose ourselves. We can't keep hoping one goal is going to get us through. Yeah. And that stat is quite damning.
I totally agree. I think Hornchurch, I say they're a decent mid-table side, and you have to say again, they're a club that's got a decent budget. Dale McMahon, they've got some big names in that squad. They've probably got bigger budget than us, but that's no reason for us not to impose ourselves early on and try and take a stranglehold of games. And is it we just don't have the players to do that, or just don't have the right approach? It's interesting, isn't it? I think Lee mentioned Alfie Bendel. He's doing a lot in the middle, isn't he? But he's doing a lot of it on his own in terms of trying to take control over the game. When you've got players in front of him like Zane and Gio, obviously no Gio yesterday, who can unlock a defence, and that's fine. But there's no one else alongside Alfie that can do that real hard work and try and strangle a game like we did back at Bath, for example. That game, we took control. We didn't really let Bath back into it. We're just not doing it. And it is very painful at the minute to be doing it the way we are. But why can't we? It is a good question, and it is something that we need to be able to work on in the final few games if we're to have any chance.
In his interview, post-match interview, which to me is a waste of time asking the coach. It should be the manager or the assistant manager. The coach, he speaks well. I've got no problem with that. But I'm afraid supporters are not really interested in the views of the coach. He's there to coach the players. It's a manager or the assistant manager at worst. One of those should be facing up to it. But anyway, by the by.
Hang on a minute. No. Hang on a minute. I disagree because it's just a different mindset, isn't it? It's just a different set. It's a different set of eyes and ears. And we have ridiculed the quality of post-match interviews up until about November time, with good reason. And then when finally you get someone who is articulate enough to sort of sense why things have gone the way they have, and then give us a little bit of insight as into why things have panned out the way they have, I'd lap it up. I would quite happily listen to Joe all day. So I would quite listen to him because he's got something tangible to say. And from what he says, I can then have a better understanding of why they've set up like this and how the game has unfolded. Yes, okay, of course. You've got Ian and you've got Bazza and now you've got Joe. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. As long as we get insight as into how we've approached the game and how we finished it, I'm okay with that, really. I don't really mind who is in front of the camera.
Couldn't disagree more, Lee. It's got to be the manager.
There's a surprise.
I've only received one comment on it, and it's along the same way of thinking as I think someone else who's completely changed their life.
Interestingly, we've had some Saints fans say to us that they quite enjoyed Joe Simpson's post-match. So, I mean, there's always going to be different opinions, isn't there?
Yeah. But one of Joe's questions, getting back to the original point, was about penalties. Well, of course, we saw Aidan Coyle going booked for diving. Did it look any different from behind the goal?
It was hard to say.
Yeah, I thought it went down easily. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty, but I thought he didn't do himself any favours. I think he went down quite theatrically from where I was. But then again, I'm sure you've got a video snapshot, Dave, of something completely different.
He was cheating, rightly booked. No place for it in the game. It was absolutely shameful. And it's the third one we've had in recent weeks, and they're all loan players. Well, no, Smith wasn't. He joined us probably by then. All youngsters. Come on, get a grip, play the game properly. Right, okay, that's sorted that one out.
Maybe.
Right, anything else to add about the actual game before we move on? It's going to be a short edition this week.
Good crowd, wasn't it? Good support.
It was an incredible crowd.
Yeah, considering the situation, that was great to see. I did enjoy 5 minutes before the end that James Bond of St Albans turned around to me and said, "This is it now. This is the season." And I think that's how a lot of Saints fans are feeling at the minute, isn't it? I think a lot were stood there in shock at the end thinking, well, I guess we're still in this just about. So it's just, let's hope it's not prolonging the pain and it all ends up well.
Well, Salisbury have got that favourable running, mate, maybe. But it is just down to 4 points. If it goes right Saturday, Farnborough are obviously going to help us. And we get it down to 1 point. Doesn't it change it? Even with our running, suddenly Salisbury are under pressure. All right, as you look at our running, we've got one or two there who are challenging for honours at the other end of the table. But it's not done and dusted like the mood at times has felt like in recent games. It's not. We are still in there.
Ifs and buts. It shouldn't have even got as far as this. The amount of points we left on the field over the last 6 weeks has been criminal. If we go down, it's going to be of our own doing, and now we're after other teams to give us a hand. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think after Chesham game, I was pretty much resigned to that, and I've been quite positive up until that point. Yes, the second half yesterday was a vast improvement, and we've seen a desire there and a passion which has certainly been lacking the last few weeks. But I just get the feeling we've left it too late. I hope to God I'm wrong, but it just seems as though that a point here and a point there just isn't good enough anymore. We are relying on other people to get us out of the ship.
Oh, definitely, 100%. So we've got to hope for it Saturday. About the crowd there, Jake. I've got to say something about the match day experience. I may have moaned in the past about it, But
I'll tie.
well, it's ludicrous. Get 2,200 down there, and yeah, Johnny Seabrook's one of my favourite people down there. He's great to talk to. I always like him, no problem with that. I don't like his presentation. He knows that. This bellowing, and come on, you Saints! When we 4 minutes to get a goal, come on, you Saints, get behind.
Get your chicken, George!
Can't we show a bit of respect for the opposition supporters who have travelled from God knows where sometimes? They paid the same admission price we do, and yet we just treat them like, no, you lot get lost, we want to thrash you. No, that's not, it's a game. But also, the noise of a rubbish over the tannoys, not Johnny's voice, that's the so-called music. We get a goal. You want to hear, what does a crowd like over 2,000 sound like with City score? Couldn't tell you. This damn racket comes over the tannoys, drowns everybody out. Well, you want people down there, we can't hear them. It's madness. It goes with the bullshit attitude of the club and the ignorance to supporters. It's just not on. I got to make it more supporter friendly. I've got a whole load of notes here. I better not go through all of those, but you get the gist of that. Then you go.
And on the seventh day, God created Dave Tavener's Yellow Pages of Doom. Brilliant.
Well, there are changes going on behind the scenes, what Lee alluded to earlier, and his celebratory uniform yesterday. And it's going to be interesting to see how the club does improve. I had a chat with somebody yesterday in the club, and they admitted the errors they've made recently with the publicity on Twitter and whatnot has not been acceptable. And so hopefully that is now going to improve. Cause it's embarrassing. We get people outside the club contacting us, just having a good laugh at our expense. You just hold your, not again, they've done it again. And then you go on to the match report for Tuesday's game against Hampton. In the opening paragraph, called it a Clarence Park classic and a thriller. It's one of the most diabolical games you'll ever see. Has this person not been to a game before? Jesus.
I'm not entirely sure that they have, Tabs, because you know the turnover of the media team seems to be quite abundant this season, at least. So look, you obviously got an axe to grind today, and
really,
yes. Okay, look, let's leave that to one side for the minute, because I think everyone is more than aware of all the shortcomings and the failings, of which there have been an astonishing number from the club this season, especially online and in the delivery of the match day social media feeds. But I think, if the club have made it aware to you that there are mistakes and they have to do better, and they will do better. But I think all our vision and all of our attention must be to remain in this league. But again, people can only affect so much. So the fact is that the club have acknowledged that they've been poor in some of their delivery. Is good. It's good news, isn't it? Not, but I'm sure you'll still pick holes in the most minutest of detail, my friend.
Never.
But next season, it may come a case to have they come knocking on your door, me old fruit, and say, come back and write these 2,000-page dissertations of how we've won games. I mean, that would be good, because the fact is, right, we can criticise, but if we're not going to produce an alternative, then it's not a lot of good, is it? So, genuine question, if the club came back to you and asked for your help, would you accept it?
The answer is no, and off air I will tell you why, but you probably know the reasons already. And if a club asked, I'll tell them why.
That's good chat. Jake, quick, come in.
I don't know what to say. Anyway, Saints are staying up
on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Getting back to the attendances, I got there yesterday, and the queues for the food outlets and drinks, incredible, absolutely astonishing. People in St Albans are even richer than Jake, and you just wonder what is going to happen to the gates next season. Take the scenario we do go down. Do you see us maintaining the big gates like Dulwich Hamlet have done?
I think they'll drop a bit, but it's hard to say. I think a lot of it depends on what division we're in as well. If it's a division with some teams that maybe people recognise more potentially, but if not, and then if we do go down, you've got the question of ticket pricing, which we love that topic. So, and how that will impact on fans. So, I think Lee, you're a bit more positive, aren't you, about the potential for crowds to continue to maintain their size next season?
Yeah, I don't think it's going. I think I mentioned this last week. Actually, I don't think it's going to drop away as dramatically as something. I think once you've built up a fan base like you have, the social supporter, shall we say? I think that it takes something quite dramatic for that to fall away. The match day experience, as you alluded to, Taz, is not for everybody. Let's put it diplomatically. But it is for many. They like the idea of coming down and drinking themselves into a drunken stupor and filling themselves for deep fried food. And that's absolutely fine. You pay your money, you take your choice. No problem. I think where a lot of it will come down to it is that the experience will only dilute the results on the pitch to a certain extent. I think people want to see a winning team, a successful team, irrespective really of what division that is in. You need to deliver on the pitch, and hopefully the new hierarchy coming into the boardroom at Clarence Park will look at that and treat the football club like a football club, and make sure you get the foundation, the fundamental core of your fans have come to watch the football. And I think you need to get that right, address that, and then the rest will follow. The accoutrements of the whole match day experience are going to look after themselves. I don't think it's going to fall away. I think it can be a Dulwich-esque situation, but I'd rather see us win games as well. So, but I'm greedy, so what do I know?
Well, we're in this run of 5 successive home league games, which is almost unprecedented. And I think we do need this win Saturday against Farnborough to maintain the big gates against Dorking and Eastbourne after that. If we lose Saturday, or we only get a draw and Salisbury and Enfield both win, then that could hit those 2 games after that. But if we get a good win Saturday, then you could be looking at 2 more really big bumper crowds after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fans are still behind the team. Should they be after everything we've had to deal with? Probably not. A lot of clubs they wouldn't have. But we are still behind the team, still backing them where we can. And, I think hopefully the crowd next Saturday will be good again. And let's hope it can tee us up into those much trickier fixtures, as you said, Dave.
And when we knock the goals in next week, let's hope we can hear that crowd.
Well, hey, there you go. Well, at your age, it's hard to hear a lot of things. Anyway. He didn't like that one, Lee.
Mate, you're his favourite. You can't be saying stuff like that. He's disagreeing with me, never with you, my friend.
No.
Right, okay. That's fair enough there. We got anything else? Any other player news or anything? No? But hopefully, with this new regime coming in helping with the media, we will get more player news, and not something along the lines of so-and-so is recovering and should be available shortly. That tells us nothing. Tell us what the injury is and give us a proper sort of date when you expect him to be in the squad, not just suddenly appear after 6 weeks. Oh, where did he come from? And also, like you mentioned, Jake, about Alfie Payne. He's on the missing list. But 2 details wouldn't go amiss. Well, this is another thing about the late notice. No. The late notice of it, signings and everything. You lot complained about it as well, so don't give me that, Jake. They do it an hour before game, and apparently, what I've told me, should be reliable source, the manager is reluctant to put the news out because you don't want to give the opposition a thing. I'm sorry, that's a load of nonsense. Look at our position early in the season, telling everybody didn't make any difference either way, did it? And hasn't made a difference lately. For years, that's always been the way. You sign a player, you put it out there. If you've got confidence in your own ability, the player's ability, everybody knows what's going on. Other clubs knows what's going on with your injuries and whatnot. Nothing's secret anymore. And to think you can keep it quiet and it's secret and it really helps you, well, it's pie in the sky, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we did at least announce this new bloke on Friday, didn't we? I think.
Yeah.
So that's a bit earlier. There you go. Things are improving.
Lee's gone quiet on that one.
I retract my suggestion that the club are going to come to you and offer for help, Dave. I can see why. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, because Lee, we like putting news out there. We want to embrace supporters. We're here. I won't say we're representing supporters, but any supporter's got questions, we can put them out there for them. And so the club should do likewise, giving news out. Anyway, we're straying off subject a little bit.
I can see why we don't do this on Sundays normally. We normally give Staves a few days to cool off. Anyway, should we talk about Farnborough?
Okay.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Dave, this is Lee's gone. Out of all the games you want to play, surely Farnborough is one of the games you want to play at this point of the season, isn't it? In terms of opposition.
Yeah, they're not on a good run, are they? All right, they beat Welling the other week, but got stuff. Was it 4-0 yesterday?
Yeah, and they only had three subs on the bench, and one of them was a signing announced at 2:00. Your favourite. So you know they've been cutting the we can't say they've been cutting the budget, but from the outside, it looks like it, doesn't it? They've had players leaving, they've had squad issues, they've had injury issues. They look like a team that maybe are quite content with where they are. Already start to look at next season already.
Yeah. Again, as we've said it many times in recent weeks, they are an ideal side for us to be playing when we are in our present position. Do they hold any terrors for you, Lee?
Many, actually. How many times have we said that little synopsis over the last month or so, boys? Every bloody week. And we've always come up short again, boys. So it's... I don't know what more we can do. We've just got to sit and we've got to hope and we've got to pray that a City team turns up that can turn over another, because we need to win. We need to win. And we've been saying that for months. So it's just another day and we're another game closer to the end of the season. So let's see what happens.
Good Lord, I just noticed I haven't seen back yesterday, but on the bench of 2 of the previous 3 games, and he came on once, was Haroon Hamid.
Oh yes, he is there, but he wasn't in the team on Saturday, so I don't know what's happened there. So, but they've got some names in there. They've got Aaron Cool, Richard Chin. They've got decent players. Be nice to see Haroon, as long as he doesn't score against us. But you know, yeah, Lee, you say, we've said this every season, haven't we? I mean, it's just, I mean, how silly are we? We keep all believing that we might do something, we might win. We keep getting our hopes up. But come on, surely now against Farnborough.
Top scorer for them is Ricky Holmes. He's been around a bit.
Oh dear! But interestingly, he wasn't in their squad yesterday. So
wasn't he? Yeah. Wasn't he? Oh no, he hasn't played for quite a while. Oh, perhaps he's gone. One's gone.
Maybe him and Alfie Payne on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, that'll be on Twitter next week at 2:00. Right. I think we're waffling now. Shall we do some predicting and get the hell out of here?
Let's do that.
Right, Farnborough home. Jake. We all got it wrong yesterday. None of us even got the outcome right.
Say it.
Yeah, go 3-1 Saints.
Go for it, yeah. No faith in our defence against their lead. Did you notice?
1-1, mate. 1-1.
I'm not another one.
We haven't had that this season, have we?
Well, exactly. Mate, I'm going to form. It's on.
God, dude.
Should we go predict the first half? If we get a goal have a shot in the first half.
1-0 down there after the first half.
I'm going to go for the old favourite 2-1 City win.
I'm going to say 1-1 half time. Right. Anything else, Dave?
I'm sure he has. Don't tempt him, for Christ's sake.
That's true. Yeah.
You'll see the list I got here.
Well, Lee, anything else?
Oh yes, supporters trust.
Oh no!
Right, I'm moving my lips. Did you see that, Jake? It's bloody brilliant.
That's amazing.
Off you go, Tavs.
As our supporters trust member in the programme yesterday, it said they're not running a coach to Enfield Town or Truro City. But all right, might be a good reason. Why not? Why not tell us why not?
If only we had a representative of the Saint City Trust on this podcast.
Yes.
Podful of Saints on Twitter. I don't have the answer at the 2 weeks now. So I couldn't tell you exactly. Apologies.
But come on, trust me. When we've got gates of over 2,000 and we can't get 20 to fill a little bus truck down the road around the M25.
Well, I say I wouldn't want to be on a coach to Enfield. I will say that. Not Enfield, sorry, Truro.
Look what you've done to him. You've broken him, Sam.
I know. Well, okay. Anything? I'm not going to ask if there's anything else. We're done.
Let's not do this again.
Yes, not on a Sunday. Podful of Saints on Twitter. Email below, and we'll speak. Right, let's just end this here. Speak to you all again next week. And come on, you Saints. Let's do something. Speak to you all soon. Goodbye. Come on, you Saints.